Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm bringing you the MGHS. But yes, this is the MGHS, and here's everything you need to know. It comes in two different engine configurations. This happens to be the 1.5 liter. There is also a 2 liter. Now what I mean is that you get a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine option, as well as a 2 liter turbo option. This is the 1.5. Pricing starts at 500,000 Rand for the 1.5 liter turbocharged engine. That's the Comfort. This happens to be the luxury with the 1.5 engine. So this is about 535,000 Rand. Then there's a 2 liter configuration, and then the pricing does jump to over 600,000. So this is a pretty good option. I'm quite impressed for what this is, and I can see why this is selling so well. But just in terms of basic aesthetics, look, it is a full-size family SUV, so it is actually pretty big. The wheels look very good too, so have nailed design aspects in terms of that. The car is actually on Dunlops, which is fantastic, not Ling Longs or anything like that, because Chinese manufacturers do tend to put Chinese tires on their cars, so this looks good. But then, of course, in terms of the front of the car, look, it is quite a different design. I don't think it looks too bad. I do like the lights quite a lot. They have done a very good job with the daytime running light design. It looks good. Now this is a very big question. Shane, MG. I thought MG was British. So just to give you a bit of a background, MG is originally British. It really is. It's known as Morris Garages. Now, unfortunately, because of current economy and current economic climate, MG were not doing too well. So MG have since been bought out by a Chinese company called SAIC, known as Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation. Now, they actually own quite a few other brands here in South Africa, known as Maxus and LDV. Maxus focus more particularly on your commercial vehicles, such as the Woolworths delivery vans that are fully electric, for example. LDV are also a passenger vehicle company, Leyland DAF vehicles, which are primarily buckies, pickup trucks, double cabs. You get the point. So this is underneath that group. Now, MG, of course, do have a different array of vehicles for us to choose from. There's everything from the MG3, which is a hatchback. It does also happen to come in a plug-in hybrid. There is the MG ZS, the MG ZS Pro, the MG HS, and of course the MG Cyberster. Now, obviously, I'm dying to get my hands on the Cyberster to truly test it out. It looks very good. It is very striking. It has electronic scissor doors, which look bloody phenomenal. And of course, the car has a 0 to 100 time of 3.4 seconds and a weight distribution of 50-50. So it looks good. It sounds good. It should drive well. And I can't wait to see what that's like. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we do still get it. But anyways, back to the HS. So this officially being a Chinese vehicle, I can kind of see why people like it. Firstly, it doesn't feel Chinese. It doesn't look Chinese. It does smell Chinese. Now, what I mean by that, a lot of Chinese vehicles, they have the same smell the moment you hop inside. The interior consists of synthetic leather, and I think it's probably the factory or just the smell of the leather itself. It has a certain smell. It's not bad. It's just kind of the way it is. Now, of course, in terms of the rear design, we have a beautiful light bar that spans the whole way across, the MG logo at the top. Now, obviously, these are just for aesthetic purposes, but these aren't actual exhaust tips, obviously, that the exhaust hides underneath. But everything looks pretty good. We do have an electronic tailgate, and there is quite a lot of boot space, so just please do excuse the camera equipment. I was actually going to whip out my big camera today, but the weather has just unfortunately been rather unpredictable. And underneath here, we do have an extra spot for all of your tools. And furthermore, underneath there, we do have a space saver spare wheel. And obviously, we do have a bit of a sliding compartment to hide all of your belongings from prying eyes. And of course, as I said, this is electronic, so it does make life quite a lot easier. Now, of course, from a driver's point of view, as I mentioned, this doesn't really look Chinese in my personal opinion. I'm quite a fan of the steering wheel. I do like the flat top and flat bottom design. Everything is multifunction. We do have physical buttons and these interesting little dials, but they do get the job done at the end of the day. Above over here, we actually have a monitor here. So this is your eye tracker monitor. So essentially what this does, this is part of the level 1 ADAS system, and it basically tracks your eyes to make sure that everything is okay. You are not tired, because if you are tired and you are driving, a little message will appear on the screen here, busy shouting at you that, you shouldn't drive whilst fatigued. And another thing is that if you do cover your face while you are driving, another message will display basically saying that the power will be restricted due to the fact that it cannot really see your face properly or your eyes, or make sure that you are paying attention to the road. But as an overall look and view, it looks pretty good. It doesn't not scream Chinese. And I think that's quite a big thing, because if you are coming from a Volkswagen product, a Golf, a T-Cross, a Tiger, whatever the case is, and you're hopping into one of these, this is a pretty good looking interior. Yes, one thing I will add, and it stands out quite a lot, is the fact that there isn't an enormous 22-inch infotainment screen. Now, this is quite synonymous with a lot of Chinese brands, and I'm happy with the fact that it's not synonymous here. And this works pretty well. Another thing, we actually have physical buttons that control things. So of course your aircon, certain home functions, your demister buttons, and this does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, although it is only actually operational thanks to this little dongle over here. So this looks like the Apple CarPlay dongle, and this is essentially your gateway to being able to connect your iPhone to the system. Because unfortunately, it does seem like there is no integrated Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as of yet. So this simply does connect down here, and it pretty much is a plug and play solution. You plug it in, the screen will then identify that Apple CarPlay has been connected. You can connect your phone directly to the system, and it works perfectly fine. You don't have to plug your phone in at all. So it does work pretty well. It's not too bad. One thing I will say is the screen is not the most responsive in my personal opinion. And I do think that it probably could be just a little bit better. I mean, it's good. The quality is fantastic. I just think it could be a little bit more responsive. But other than that, not really too bad. The digital driver's cockpit, on the other hand, everything here is pretty simple. It does have adaptive cruise control. So in front of me here, we have a little car. And when you do drive, it does actually detect the lanes and all the other cars around you. So adaptive cruise control works incredibly well. So on the right-hand side here, you can obviously see all of your different telemetry with regards to your fuel consumption. But I'll get into that in a sec. As we move further along, we do have two cup holders. Your 7-speed dual clutch transmission, which is actually pretty good. It's one of the best I felt, considering it is a Chinese vehicle. Now, as we move on, we do have hill descent control and automatic hold function. Of course, your electronic park brake. Now, as we move down, we do have a full-on wireless charger, a center console, which is actually pretty big. So my actual phone itself, which is a iPhone 14 Pro Max for reference, does fit in there quite nicely. You can fit quite a few goodies, and it doubles up as a pretty good armrest. The seats, on the other hand, are really, really good. There's no complaints. Yes, they are made of the synthetic leather material, as I was saying, but the front seats are electronically adjustable. They are also heated, which does make a huge difference in today's weather. So to access that, you simply come over here, you say climate, then just at the bottom there, you do that, and your heated seat will turn on. It makes quite a big difference, especially in colder climates. As for the door cards, yes, there is a little bit of plastic on the door cards here and there. Look, it's really not a train smash. It's nothing to complain about. But the actual cards themselves, there's quite a lot of space there for any other items, such as a big water bottle. There's quite a lot of function, which is very nice. We do obviously have a spot here to put a pair of sunglasses, access to your panoramic sunroof, because it is obviously quite large, and obviously it does open as well. So now I've hopped into the rear of the HS, and let's have a closer look. So the front seat is of course in my seating position. For reference, I'm about 5'6", so there is quite a lot of legroom. It is very impressive. There is also a storage compartment at the back of both of the front seats to store anything. Down here we do have two USB-A ports, just to of course plug in any devices that you might need. Then of course aircon vents, which do channel the air that is coming through the front. So whatever temperature is being dictated at the front will then be fed through the rear as well. Now, in terms of the rear seats, everything is actually very good. As I mentioned, extremely comfortable, very supportive. We do, of course, have our traditional center armrest with two very nice cup holders. So everything is very functional at the back here. Your rear passengers shouldn't have any complaints. We obviously have the handles at the top with reading lights if need be. But this is a very good car for a family. I'm rather impressed. Now, just a quick look at the engine, because of course, as I did mention, this is the 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine. So this engine produces 125 kilowatts as well as 275 Newton meters of torque. And that's actually pretty standard for all of the Chinese vehicles across the board with an identical engine, because most of them, especially the introduction models of a lot of Chinese brands, they always go for the 1.5 liter engine with their 7-speed DCT combo. That's very standard. This engine, however, is slightly more fuel economic than most of the others that I've experienced. And in terms of engine noise, it's not too bad. I do think sound insulation from the firewall could be a little bit better, because you do hear the engine a little bit. But at the end of the day, considering that this car starts at 500,000 Rand, That's actually seriously impressive. But as I was saying, as you can see over here, SAIC, Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation, as I mentioned. Now, driving impressions of the MGHS. In terms of physical driving, it does a very good job at hiding the fact that it's actually Chinese. Or maybe it's just such a good Chinese vehicle that it doesn't feel Chinese. Now, what I mean is that Chinese vehicles, typically in this price bracket, have a certain feel to them, and it typically goes along the lines of very bad accelerator calibration as well as a very choppy gearbox and a ton of turbo lag. Now, this doesn't really have that, and that's quite interesting for me. Yes, there is a bit of turbo lag. Obviously, the car is an internal combustion engine. It does have a turbo attached to it, which is a given. It has a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, which is pretty responsive, actually. I do find that if you do put it into sport mode by simply moving the gear lever over to the right, it does become a little bit more lively, so it is a little bit more responsive. But as you can hear, there is a fair bit of engine noise actually coming from the engine bay itself. So I do think that perhaps sound insulation from the engine, perhaps with a thicker firewall or whatever the case is, could help. But also at the end of the day, for the price point of this car, I don't think it should be driven like that or will be driven like that. But also, as I mentioned, for the price point, this is a hell of a car for the money that you're going to be paying. It is one of the best Chinese cars I've driven, and it's probably the Chinese car I've driven that feels the most European. And that's quite a statement. Now, it is quite easy to get used to driving to this because, as I mentioned, it feels very familiar. There isn't a giant infotainment screen that is trying to distract me from the actual road and the driving conditions in front of me. And most of them, ironically enough, do that. They all brag about their level 2 ADAS systems and how safe their cars are, but they distract the hell out of you because you simply can't find the button to turn the aircon on or to put your heated seat on or anything like that. Yes, the heated seat is within the screen itself, I am aware, but the fact that you can still access most basic and common functions through a push of a button underneath the screen makes it a lot better, and I will argue that it makes it a lot safer. And I think that is a very good driving factor that, and I think most motorists mustn't forget about. A car is there to get you from A to B. You drive a car. You don't play in a car like a cell phone. You shouldn't be playing or driving to start with. And all of these big screens, I do find that they're just a little bit distracting. This is a very good combination. It's a very good design, and it's a very good recipe. If something isn't broken, why fix it? If it works, it works. Now, obviously, I've never had an MG on test. I have recently driven the MG ZS Pro on launch, and I will link that video up above for you now. Now, that car in particular is a model below this. It's the MG ZS, but it's the Pro, so it has this engine as far as I understand. That car is incredibly good. It's also very peppy. There's quite a lot of power for what it is. But this, I feel, is better suited for the typical family. I really, really, really do think so, and I think it's a very good option to consider. It's extremely comfortable. The brakes are good. They're not that progressive. They could be a little bit sharper, so just do be aware when you are braking. I'd recommend you brake firm first and then you slowly release. And in terms of physical accelerator input, pretty good. I mentioned we obviously have a turbo lag, but in terms of steering input, it's actually very good. Yeah, there is a bit of body roll, but at the end of the day, this car was not designed on the Nürburgring. It was not developed for the Nürburgring either. Overall verdict, it's very good. I'm thoroughly impressed. I never thought an MG would be this good. Now, obviously, everyone's going to debate that it's not a real MG. Look, in terms of modding the MGs, even though this is a Chinese vehicle, it's incredibly good. And that reminds me, there are a couple of small things that are rather irritating. So this is one of them. You have to turn off certain ADAS features every single time you get into the car. Now, of course, ADAS features are there to keep you safe, but some of them are rather irritating, like this. So it will detect what the speed is for me. It will read the traffic signs. But if I'm doing 1 kilometer over that speed, it starts shouting at me. So we turn that off. Lane keep assist as well, or lane departure assist. It's rather intrusive and rather violent, but it wakes you up really quickly. It doesn't give you a very small adjustment with the steering wheel. It's quite jarring because it turns the steering wheel rather aggressively and it can give you a fright. So I recommend turning that off as well. So my overall opinion of the MGHS, pretty good. For 500,000 Rand, I think it's a very good option. I would recommend this over a lot of other Chinese vehicles. I really would. I definitely would. If you had to pay the extra 35,000 Rand and opt for the luxury, yeah, I think it's worth the money. Definitely do it.
But one thing I do always say, opt for a test drive. Go for a test drive, have a proper test drive. Drive it on the highway, drive it in the city. And speaking of driving in the city, fuel consumption. It is a 1.5 turbo. It isn't the lightest car on fuel on the planet. It isn't a diesel. It's not a plug-in hybrid. It's not a hybrid electric vehicle. It's a purely an ICE vehicle, internal combustion engine. I've been averaging anywhere between 8 and 9 liters per 100 kilometers, although I have gotten between 6 and 7 purely on the highway. So if you do drive this on the highway, you can get a very good fuel consumption. But if you are going to be driving in the city and in traffic, you can expect a high fuel consumption. And it's just the nature of these things. Chinese vehicles and Chinese manufacturers haven't had the decades of conducting research and development when improving their internal combustion engine vehicles. But what they are very good at is producing and manufacturing electric vehicles. That's where the Chinese shine. So in terms of fuel consumption, it's not bad. If you're doing a lot of highway driving, you won't really complain at all. This is a great car. It's a good all-rounder. It'll do everything you need to do, and it'll keep you and your family safe. But I always recommend go for a test drive. Always go for a test drive. But guys, if you did get this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I do really appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me. If you can do me a solid, hit the thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button below. It does mean a lot to me, and it does actually help. It allows me to get more cars like this on test to actually give you more consumer insight and advice. And it makes a big difference to me in the channel. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button as well. And I do just want to say, if you have gotten this far in the video and you have wondered what the hell is going on with your mouth, Shane, unfortunately I chipped a tooth today and I leave for China in 2 days. So I'm going to see a dentist first thing tomorrow morning. It is a Sunday afternoon, so I know dentists are available. And if you're asking how I chipped a tooth, well, quite simply, I was eating food. And unfortunately, when I was a child, I was bullied quite a lot in school. There was an incident and my front teeth were knocked out against a metal railing by a kid who had bullied me quite a lot. But anyways, point being, it was a filling that fell out. My front 2 teeth have been filled in, and the fillings have been there for the past 17 years. So the fact that one of them have come out, it sucks, but at the same time, rather now than when I'm in China, because that would be very interesting. But anyways, guys, enough about me. This is the MGHS. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, be safe, stay safe, guys. Drive safe, and I'll see you soon.